just a little bit. And YouTube, you should be up and going at this point. Give you a chance to get Facebook ready to go. And we should be just about there. It's a very quiet evening in downtown Chattanooga. We don't have a lot going on, at least at this point, but in the next couple of days, going to be some changes up and down when it comes to anything involving the temperatures and the possibility of rainfall. So we do see, again, the potential for more activity out there that could be a bit of a problem, but we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Hope it was a great weekend for everybody. I spent a lot of time not doing a whole bunch of anything, but that was a very nice little way to not worry about too much and to stay out of the weather, which was decently on the fairly warm and humid side. More potential of rain again into the near future, and that could be a bit of a problem for outdoor activities, but we'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and get Facebook into it, thanking our sponsor, Epicos Comics, Cards, and Games. You can reach them at epicoccg.com. And let's go ahead and get things started with Facebook in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. All right, on just a few minutes later than 9:45, give or take, but we don't really adhere to too much of a strict schedule as per necessary. But as of right now, again, a quiet evening, and for the next couple of days should not be seeing too much of a major problem coming our way when it comes to temperatures. Pretty well on the hot side as we get into tomorrow, and a heat advisory for portions of the area. We'll talk about that coming up in just a bit. And over the next several days as we close out July, not as hot as it could be. So very thankful about that. No question, especially at this time of the year, to where we can really get hit with some ugly temperatures out there. It is Monday evening, the final Monday of July 2026. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, especially where the tropics are concerned. If you've never joined us here before, this is our online video weather blog. This is your opportunity, the viewers of News 12, to ask anything in the way of questions that we may have about the forecast. If you have anything specific for the area, we'll do our best to answer what we can. We are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you'd rather not tune in on one, at least you've got a couple of other options out there to take a look and see something on another viewpoint on another social media page if you'd like to see that. Late night tonight, coming up in about, give or take, 90 minutes or so. It will be quite mild. We've got temperatures back into the mid-70s, so we're just not getting too much of anything out there in the way of very comfortable weather. Anytime soon, the chances of any cool and dry conditions, that's not going to be happening. So through the rest of the next several days, we may tone the temperatures down a little bit, but beyond that, probably not too much in the way of great weather for outdoors coming up in the near future. We managed to pick up 1/100th of an inch of rain for today, and we have a surplus for the month of July, but only just barely into the 7/10 inch range. We're still behind even after the rain we picked up gradually over the last few days. We still have a half a foot deficit. So overall, the year 2026 has been a dry one. We did manage to make the mid-90s, so that, again, pretty close to typical for this time of the year. 10 degrees below the record high, which hasn't been set or broken since 104. And 1952, that was a hot year. There were a lot of record highs being set that year. So we do seem to be kind of repeating that by just a little bit. Heading out for the pool tomorrow, temperatures, as you can see, are going to be perfect for a pool visit. The only problem we've got is that tomorrow afternoon, starting about mid-afternoon through the rest of the evening, toward about sunset, there is going to be the potential of some severe weather coming our way. It's not a severe weather outbreak, but if you're heading out to the pool, heading for a round of golf, just taking a walk around the block, make certain that if you're in charge of any group that's out and about, someone needs to keep track of what's going on with the weather. So sunblock, staying hydrated with temperature, and these are just the air temperatures. Combine this with a thick amount of humidity in the air, it is going to be very much on the sultry and uncomfortable side, so don't forget again to take along an extra slug of water with you to make sure that you stay hydrated. That's going to come in very handy as you go throughout the rest of Tuesday. Now, for right now, it's comfortable. We've got I believe, nearly full moon. I'm not too sure if we're there yet or not. I'll take a look a little bit later on, but a beautiful view of moonrise on the 1% List Scenic City camera, looking east across downtown from the EPB building. Missionary Ridge standing out quite nicely in the moonlight of Monday, and it's again a very not cool evening, just past sunset. We're still in the high 80s. Feels like it's 95 out there, and with that urban heat island effect downtown and across a lot of southern Hamilton County with more infrastructure out there, it's probably going to feel even hotter. So this is a good evening to stay indoors and stay as cool as you possibly can. We have nothing going on in the way of rain. We had thunderstorms dive through earlier today, moving through Chattanooga, southern Hamilton County, that moved in from the north. There was the potential of severe weather, but we never had any severe weather to talk about this morning. And the thunderstorms from earlier over portions of western North Carolina, western areas of South Carolina, and northeast Georgia, those showers became thunderstorms briefly before falling apart. So there's really just not a lot going on at this point. We may see more activity back to our north heading our way. You see across the Ohio River, we've got some pretty good amount of thunderstorms taking place there. If these survive and drop down our direction, there's a chance that some of them, not a lot, but some of them could be on the strong to possibly severe side. So that's something to watch out there. A lot of lightning between Cincinnati and Lexington, and back over between Indiana, Illinois, and back towards St. Louis tonight. That, again, is still several hundred miles away, but as it drops this way, if these storms are able to stay cohesive and strong enough, we may see a threat of some thunderstorms into very early Tuesday morning. And then the next threat will come as that front drops on through the area as we go into tomorrow afternoon. Now, the next front is sitting right around that area, Chicago to southern Iowa, back around areas of eastern Nebraska and northwest Kansas. This is going to be making its way a little closer to us, and that will be dropping our direction into tomorrow, running into this fairly moisture-rich air mass. So we will see the potential of thunderstorms reforming across the area along that front the closer it gets to us, and we should be looking at that happening somewhere right around or just after about midday. And in the lee of that, that's where we could see more storms coming in Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Then we see a really big downturn in the possibility of rainfall. Not much of anything else as high pressure dives in. That is going to be a really big boon to us because that is going to drop slightly. I can't really call the high 80s cool, so let's say slightly less hot air down from the Great Lakes and southeastern Canada, and that'll take our numbers down to a much more pleasant high 80s, and that is where we see the calm weather continue until the next system comes in and tries to edge this area of high pressure out, pushing it away back to the south and east. This front will be giving us the potential again of more storms as we get into the weekend. Not good news for outdoor activities. Severe threat for tomorrow will be fairly limited, but the thing to remember about this is it will still be possible. So back into and around Chattanooga, east of Chattanooga, East Tennessee, West North Carolina, Northeast Georgia, that is where we could be looking again at the potential for a 2 out of 5 slight risk category, the yellow polygon showing the worst potential of severe weather for tomorrow. Then in the dark green category, mainly from Hamilton County west and southwest, that's a 1 out of 5 marginal threat of severe weather. The thing to remember here is that everybody in the News 12 viewing area, from south of I-40 down to just north of Atlanta, everybody here stands the possibility of severe weather, and that's what we really need to be paying attention to. It's not, oh, it's not that bad, we can ignore it, don't pay attention to it, it never happens anyway. it only takes one storm to really mess things up for somebody, and that could include fatalities depending on how things go. It is possible. Likely, no, we're not seeing a lot of tornadic threat. That's going to be confined well east of us toward the Outer Banks and the mid-Atlantic states. And then we see the best potential of a threat of damaging winds across the entire area. Again, greatest back to the east, the Carolinas, into Virginia, and the Outer Banks could be looking at the worst potential going on there. And then the potential of hail will be a secondary, lesser, but again, still possible threat as we look into tomorrow. That will give us the best potential that we've seen in a little bit. Could be talking about hail golf ball sized and larger in some locations. Again, the atmosphere is not set up for a major outbreak, but it is looking like we will see the potential of some activity, especially about 3 p.m. to about 8 p.m. tomorrow. That appears to be the best threat time across the region. So that is where swimming, golfing, out to the park, whatever you're doing, pay attention to what's going on and make sure you know exactly what may be coming our direction. Taking a look at the Atlantic, things are exceptionally quiet right now. And again, hopefully they stay that way. But for the time being, the dust from the Sahara is doing a very good job of making certain that we don't have much developing in the form of any tropical storms from the Sahel over to South America, back into the Caribbean and portions of the Western Atlantic. So dry, dusty air, as well as the El Nino in the Pacific. That is also an ocean away. This warm water here is helping to keep tropical storm activity lower back to the east. That's what happens in this whole, what do you call, southern oscillation type system with El Nino going on. For right now, in the Pacific, things are much more active than any place else as we go into, again, about the second month of hurricane season for the Pacific. The Pacific hurricane season in the East Pacific starts on May the 15th. So things have been active here for about 2 weeks longer than what the systems form in the Atlantic. And that's all, of course, partially due to El Nino taking place. Now, what's going on here? We have two hurricanes. Number one, Fausto, the F storm, the G storm, Genevieve. We'll talk about Genevieve here in just a second. Fausto is still making its way toward the Hawaiian Islands, but the computer models seem to be taking it a little farther to the north, so it does look like Fausto is going to sideswipe the Hawaiian Islands, but it's still enough to deliver some gusty winds and some rainfall down into and around the area of the island chain here, shooting the gap between Hawaii and Midway. But for the time being, again, it does not look like anything huge. Then we have Genevieve. Genevieve was back over toward western Central America as a depression last week. It was a tropical storm on Friday. By Sunday, less than 3 days later, it had become a Category 5 hurricane. Again, thanks to that very warm water of the El Nino effect going on. It rapidly intensified due to that warmer water supporting the storm, and that is where we are now running into what was a Category 5. Tonight, I believe it is down, let's see where we are at this time, Category 4 if I'm not mistaken, and Genevieve looks like it is going to be also aiming north of the Hawaiian Islands, so this also does not look to be a direct threat. But because of where this is and because there is so much energy involved in this system, this is where it kind of gets interesting to watch the waves taking place. You have Fausto over here kicking up waves 10 to 20 feet in some locations, so some very good surf about to be had on the North Shore. But then there's this, to where it gets closer and closer to the area of Mexico, skirting that area off Baja. It's possible that the effect, notice that most of the wave action is down here across portions of the circulation of Genevieve. As it diminishes, it goes down to a tropical storm by Saturday, but it's still enough wave action pushing toward the Pacific coast of the United States and Mexico that we could see some big surf taking place off of San Diego, Los Angeles, Monterey, and back down into and around San Francisco. that is where we could see some inclement weather. So if you're heading toward the coast in the next couple of days, that is where we could be looking at some problems for vacationers in and around that area. So definitely want to stay aware of that if you're traveling to, again, anything south of San Francisco in the next couple of days, or know somebody who will be traveling through that area. That could be a big problem for travelers. Now, the farther it goes away, the more the surge makes its way up to the north, but it still has that energy enough to cast all that motion through the upper waters of the eastern Pacific and cause some very big breakers on the west coast here of Los Angeles, San Francisco, California, and even back up to around portions of, say, Oregon and maybe even Washington State. We'll have to see how well that turns out in the course of the next few days. Dust from the Sahara is still rolling in these waves, and some of that is making its way up into the continental United States. So it is possible that we could see even more dust, and there's a particularly big plume of this. By this time next week, early August, a huge push of dust out over the Atlantic could again block out the sunlight, and that will do a good job of stopping any development. So hopefully that won't be a problem for anybody involving, say, emphysema or asthma, but that could be something that causes even more problems there, so something to think about. Island Cove Marina and Resort, all of our cameras available on the EPB Fiber Optics WeatherCam network page. You can reach that at WDEF.com/weather if you'd like to take a look at our cameras. Through the rest of the week, again, mid-90s tomorrow with a heat advisory in effect for northeastern Alabama and northwest Georgia as heat index temperatures, that's the air temperature plus the humidity to get that feels like index, could top 105 degrees. That's dangerous for working or exercising outdoors. Mid-90s for the air temperature, heat indexes 105 plus in some locations. So for tomorrow, and that risk of severe weather could be a problem into around Tuesday afternoon and evening, so please stay weather aware. Then we stay dry into the end of the week, kicking off more showers and thunderstorms into and around the area of Saturday and Sunday, lingering into next Monday, but at least the temperatures will stay a little bit on the lower side. It's not much, but hey, at this time of the year, we'll take what we can get. That really will help out to keep the numbers down by just a little bit. Thanks to everybody for sending in some great pictures. And if you have not done so and got some pictures you would like to share, we'd love to see them and to show them to everybody in our HEP Heating Weather Window picture of the day. We take the pictures from the rest of last week, put them together in a voting box, and then you, the viewer, decide which one is your favorite. The winner this week, congratulations to News 12 viewer Sue Brazil from Ottawa for a beautiful view of some fog and clouds forming up against the side of the mountains around Nickajack Lake. Beautiful view there. So thank you very much for that. Thanks to our viewer, I forget the name, who wrote in and said, we forgot to tell everybody that all of these clouds come from the trees, nothing but the trees, and they just transpire the moisture out. Well, it's not just the trees. There are a lot of other sources, including the atmosphere itself, the moisture coming down slope, and also getting pushed upslope can form these type of clouds out there. So it's not just from the trees, it's from a big source of that, and considering how many tons of moisture we have, that's available through all sorts of various areas. But thank you very much to our anonymous viewer for our meteorology lesson of the day by email. If you've got pictures to share, please do so. If you'd like to send in pictures or vote in our polls, you can use the QR code here, or you can go to WDEF.com/vote now if you'd like to participate in our poll. And thanks to everybody who voted in this week's poll. And again, we'll have another poll coming up by the end of the week, so you can see a little bit more about those fine pictures that are taking place out there. Overnight could be, again, not cool, with temperatures back into the mid-70s at best. Not much seeing in the way of any cooler weather anytime soon. Could be some patchy fog out there, again, considering we picked up more rain today. Don't forget about Chip Chapman. He's got more on your forecast coming up on the morning show that starts at 5 a.m. So stay tuned for more on that. That should do it for tonight. We've been on for, give or take, about 20 minutes. There's not a lot going on tonight, so not a lot happening to report on, but glad we had at least enough to bring to you, our viewers, to let you know what is going on. Questions, concerns, ideas in the blue bar down beneath. You can see Onek at WDEF.com. If you'd like to email me or anybody else here at News 12, go to our website and check in on the Contact Us page on the main menu, and you can get in touch with anybody here, including our general manager, our news director, the people who are in charge here. If you'd like to speak with them directly, they're listed on there as well. So if you have a question, a concern, a complaint, please let us know about it. We can't do this job without you, the viewer, telling us what you think or what you saw happen at various other locations. That's where our stories come from. We depend on you to keep an eye and an ear out to let us know what you see as happening. Thanks a lot, of course, to our sponsor, Epicos Comics, Cards, and Games. You can reach them at epicosccg.com if you'd like to see what kind of wares they have. Stop by and support them. It doesn't have to be Free Comic Book Day, which happens on the first Saturday in May. You can support your local comic book store at any point in time. Local brick and mortar stores like Epicos need our support, so stop by and support them when you're able to. Get a kid interested in reading, introduce them to a new comic book character that they may not have thought of. And for those who are more stuck-up, sticky beak about everything, comic books are a form of literature, graphic novels in their own way. So if you want to get a kid interested in more than just the bam, pow, zock of the Batman graphics, there's more out there, a lot of subtle nuance in things like that, and a good place to start, again, is your local comic book store, so please consider that. That should wrap it up for tonight. I'll have more coming up on News 12 at 11, and of course, Chip, as I said, has more coming up on the morning show. Thanks for joining us on Weather Overtime for Monday, and we'll talk to you again coming up Tuesday evening. In the meantime, stay tuned to News 12 on air and online. Thanks for stopping by for Monday evening.